Welcome everyone to another Whispers of Wisdom episode. Today I have Reverend Tristy Taylor with us, and I will allow her to introduce herself.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm Tristy Taylor. I am a counselor, a teacher. I lead workshops in a whole variety of modalities, including dream work and shadow work and uh, anything really about the wisdom of the unconscious. I'm really excited and interested in. And I also do open heart work, which is around basically feeling your authentic feelings, which sounds simple, but is actually quite difficult for the average human being. Um, I am also an interfaith minister and was ordained the same place that you, Lamel, were ordained, the Chaplaincy Institute. Ordained there in 2005, and also got a spiritual direction certificate from there with John Mabry. And I've been teaching there off and on since 2008, classes on death and dying and creativity and ritual crafting and dream work, and how that can all be held in a interfaith spiritual container. I'm also the daughter of Jeremy Taylor, world-renowned dream worker and creator of the projective method, and Catherine Taylor, who was a prolific dream artist and made a lot of art from and with her dreams. So I led my first dream group when I was 15. So I've been leading workshops for what would that be? 40 years. Yikes.
That's
uh,
fabulous.
yeah. 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 And it's just, yeah, it's what I love the most. I love, love, love helping people really connect to their true, authentic selves and shed all the personas and masks and stories and all of the ways that we hold ourselves back as humans. And dreams are a great tool for that because our dreams are very, very honest and very creative and very playful and really mean nothing but love and healing for us. Even when we've got a whopper of a nightmare, there is a gift inside of a nightmare. So I'm a big fan of helping people unpack their dreams, as my dad used to say.
Yeah,
So that's me.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have found dream work to be incredibly fruitful and takes us in all kinds of places, directions that we may not otherwise go, which is all of the things that you have said, creative and, a deep dive in many different directions. Um, I think one of the things that people might be interested in is how even nightmares and sort of the shadow and the dark parts of our dreams, or the parts that we wouldn't necessarily want to share with others that might be embarrassing. What good they have to bring? What has been your experience, or how do you work with that?
Mhm. Yeah. So every villain, monster, dark figure, torturer, killer, kidnapper, you name it, like all of the scary, dark characters in our nightmares have a gift to offer. They are merely representing our shadow self. So Carl Jung termed this idea of the shadow. It is essentially what is not in the light, what is hidden away in the darkness, what we are either totally unconscious of or we've pushed deep into the subconscious and we don't want to acknowledge that is a part of us. But when we push away what we think are terrible things about ourselves, we're also pushing away really beautiful gifts that those shadow selves hold. Um, and so dreams always come in the service of health and wholeness. So, if when we have like a really, sweet, fun, easy dream, we wake up and we smile and we say, that was lovely. And we make our coffee or our tea and we start our day and we never think of the dream again. but nightmares stick with us. Nightmares we're like telling our coworkers about, we're telling our partner about, we're telling our kids about it. And it stays with you. And that's for a reason. So the unconscious will take these more negative imagery to really say, hey, this is something that's alive right now. And it is here to be transformed. Like this is a time in our life, in your life, dreamer, in my life, the dreamer, where this can be worked with, this can be transformed. And it's interesting, you'll notice with little kids will have tons and tons of nightmares because they are changing so quickly. Like, they're learning to tie their shoes. And then all of a sudden there's the kid that needed an adult to put their shoes on. And now they don't. And that's like a huge transformation in a little kid's life. But we rarely acknowledge it at all. Right. So the unconscious is like, well, this is huge. I'm going to acknowledge it. And I'm going to send this whopper of a dream. So it's really, really powerful to work with that imagery. And I can share a very quick story. This is one of my teaching stories with my own nightmare when I was about to start middle school. So going from elementary school to middle school, over the summer, I started having this chronic nightmare where I'm being chased by the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Ah.
Which is a film I saw far too young. So that creature really terrified me. And so my unconscious was like, perfect, let's send this image down to this little one because something big's about to happen. Something big is changing in her life. And it would chase me. And it was always in this desert. It was very like Wile E. Coyote, like Roadrunner kind of just empty desert and then running right up into a mountain and I can't go anywhere. And, I don't have my little like tunnel sticker that I can pop on there like Roadrunner could and get through the mountain. And I would wake up terrified. And, being the daughter of a dream worker, my father said, well, you got to face the monster. You have to turn around and talk to the monster. And I was so terrified. But finally, I had the nightmare again. And I remembered what my dad had told me. And I said, okay, I got to face the monster. So I still run, I still hit the mountain. But this time, instead of waking up, I turn around and I face it. And it's got these big, sharp needle teeth and these claws, and he's walking towards me. And I'm just terrified. And then I like look down and I notice he has like a little Pomeranian dog next to him. And so I kind of shout at him, I like your dog. And he like stops and he looks down and he looks back up at me and like something's changed, but like he doesn't say anything. And so I'm still kind of terrified, but he stops, like he's not coming towards me anymore. And then I said, what? I said, are you trying to eat me? And then he looks really confused. And I noticed that he's got like seaweed hanging out of his mouth. And he says, no, I'm a vegetarian. And I'm like, and I see the seaweed, I'm like, okay. I'm like, but why have you been chasing me? Like, you're scaring me, And he says, I just want a friend. I'm so lonely out here and I don't belong in this desert. And it's just me and my dog and we want a friend. And I was like, oh, well, I'll be your friend, And when I woke up and told my dad the dream, we talked about how I was going to this new school. And like a lot of my friends from elementary school were going to go to a different school. So I was going to go in with pretty much no friends and I was going to have to make friends. And I was so terrified about that. And so he offered the dream work of if it were my dream, and I was about to start middle school, I think this monster is helping me learn that I have to go forward and say, do you want to be my friend? Just walk up to people. And I did. And everyone I walked up to and asked that were like, yeah, I'll be your friend. In that beautiful, like middle school way, where everyone's still like, yeah, let's team up, It's terrifying. So that's
Wonderful.
an example. And you can be any age, nightmares come at any time, as we know. So the transformation, the opportunities for transformation never end. I do dream work one-on-one with a whole diverse variety of amazing people. And one of my clients right now is in his early 90s, and he's got phenomenal dreams and terrifying nightmares. But he's so delighted to bring them into our sessions, and he's like, okay, I got a juicy one for you, and we talk all that stuff through. And he's still opening and having transformations about his childhood and, his fears and the ways he scares himself. And it's really beautiful that this is practice that we can do all the way to the end. And, I'm a former hospice chaplain, and I have done a lot of dream work with those in the dying process. Dream recall really keeps on going, even when you're really deeply, heavily medicated and you're going through that whole process of your body shutting down. There's still dream recall, and there's, in and out of consciousness. So there's a kind of waking dream space that you can work as well as a chaplain or just as a caregiver with someone. So it really literally does go to the end of our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's quite amazing. Um, Perhaps you can. There was a little snippet of your dad saying something and helping you to explore the dream. What maybe you can give a tiny little primer about what that looks like, to what a conversation looks like.
Like in the sense of like the projective method or what?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, totally. Um, so one of the sort of core tenets of my father's work was is that we all we can do is project on anybody's dream. I just shared that dream. Everybody imagined their own version of the creature of the Black Lagoon and their own version of that Roadrunner desert and their own version of that little Pomeranian. But it'll never be exactly my dream, right? There's no way for me unless can project it straight into your brain, which like someday that might be possible. But right now, all we have is my story. And then everyone hearing it is imagining it for themselves. So the most honest thing to do is to own our projections. And there's also a gift in that all dreams can open something up in us. So once, like, say you had shared a dream with me, Lamel, I could say, like, okay, if this were my dream, I'm thinking about how scared I was to start middle school, and so I'm owning my projections, but I also am allowing an opportunity to have an opening. So even if I didn't dream that particular nightmare or have those particular issues, I can still have what my dad called an aha moment where I can be like, whoa, like I was scared to start middle school. This dream is opening something up in me, even though it's not my own. So the if it were my dream, always using I statements is a really wonderful practice all the time. Honestly, it's a really interesting practice to go, even trying it for a day, where if you every time you catch yourself saying, well, when you have road rage, being like, well, when I have road rage, and just start owning all of those assumptions, projections, and stories that we tell ourselves all the time. Just owning it is very transformational in itself, of like, oh, because we're all projecting all over each other constantly, all the time. So it's interesting to just take a little bit more ownership of it. There's, it's vulnerable, but it can be really rewarding as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things that we had talked about is possibly my sharing a dream and you and I working with it.
Mm.
So why don't we give that a try so that folks can get a flavor for this? And then I also wanted to return because I think you have a class coming up around and so I
Yeah.
wanted to talk a little bit about that too. And I had another question, but let's see how this goes with,
Okay.
with sharing a dream.
Yeah.
All right. So
And so
this,
Lamel's going
yes.
to say the dream in the present tense. That's important. And that keeps the dream alive. It keeps it in the space with us. It's not a memory, it's alive. It's in the present, it's happening.
And I have the practice of naming the dreams, which is
Mm.
helpful. I have found helpful to look back, and I have sort of a little sketch of what the dream is about if I want to return to it in some way, which is also something else that is very helpful to do. I did that, Tristy, at your suggestion, and I did it at the beginning of the year, and looking back and seeing themes and progress or different pieces. There's just something about going back and reviewing periodically where we've been that is amazing. And actually, I think you posted about doing that recently for the last 7 years. Was it that you mentioned?
Yeah, yeah. This new moon we just had that was a solar eclipse. The last time that happened in Leo was 7 years ago on January 19th, 2019. So
Nice.
yeah, I went back and looked at the dreams and what was going on in my life, and it's incredible how much has changed over 7 years. It's really because that was before COVID, like it's really
Yeah,
fascinating to look back on the
it's
old journals and
it's
dreams.
amazing. It's amazing. It made me wish I had 7 years to go back on, but I only started this process, I think, maybe a year ago. So in
Right.
7 years, I'll come back and
Yeah, yeah, totally.
have
Yeah.
have the same, hopefully, sort of marvelous looks into the past. All right, so I had this dream, I think probably last month, and it's called "Finding Socks Using Magic and Espionage Around a Drug." So there is a part in a Target-like store. I help a mother find socks for her son, who also needs a karate outfit. She shows me a beautiful robe that he needs to get for when he becomes a black belt. The robe is black and has a dragon type design on it. Then there is a part where a woman is tricking a man, or um, is being stealthy around having a white powder, and he will have to pay her to get it from her. She, in turn, is caught out by someone else. Then there is a room where magic users of different types, sort of like Dungeons and Dragons, are going to rest and do something with their magic um, after they rest. So they have a task that they're going to be working on. So this is a short dream. That's what I have written down. I also write down colors and feelings. So the colors, white and bright light of the mall or the Target type store. The room where the folks go is to rest is dark. The kimono type outfit is black. Um, and a memory is coming back, like the design is bright against the black, so maybe like red or some color like that. Um, Feelings, there's a feeling of accomplishment and helping, and then trickery and spying and espionage. Uh, and then the differences between the kinds of magic, something about snobbery
Hmm.
related to that.
Hmm. Like some magic's better than other that's being practiced by the Dungeons and Dragons folks.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah. And is there a sense of what that magic tier is? Like what's better than what?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm not remembering specifically, but um, when I've played Dungeons and Dragons, there are times when I'm in my character, and another character, another player does something, and I'm like, gosh darn it, that's really cool. I can't do that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then, but here I wrote down something about snobbery. I'm not remembering what that was about. But there are differences in the magics in the D&D world. So
Yeah. And then uh and this is kind of the practice too. Like I hear the dream and then I ask clarifying questions just so I can get some clarity and then I can go into my projections on the dream. Um so the white powder, can the dreamer say more about what the white powder is and what the sort of sneaky hiding and all of that sort of stuff is?
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah. So, and there is the part where a woman is sort of kind of like being an undercover agent and tricking out a man that he has this powder um, and so forth. So there is something about the white powder that is more around um, discovering something and bringing something to light, like
Mm.
you know. Uh, and there is something in that sort of like the espionage sort of piece that um, feels like that part of myself is smart and devious and you know doing something on the sly, hidden, um, yeah. But in the dream, she in turn is caught out by someone else. So there is this part where okay, here's this woman who's trying to be sneaky, and then she's also um, I don't know, uncovered.
Mm-hmm. Like a double espionage.
Yes.
And is she like trying like cop show detective style trying to like entrap the guy with his white powder?
That's the sense, yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
I think it's interesting that this how old is the little boy that's going to get his black belt?
Like grade school, like, hasn't hit puberty yet.
Okay. Okay. And his like when he gets his black belt, he's also going to get this kimono or robe or
Yes. This beautiful
and
robe, yeah.
and it's all black, which I can't help but note the dreamer is wearing their officiant costume, as it were, outfit that is all black that signifies, the black belt in ministry, as it were. Like, I've reached the top, right? I've gone through all the layers of my training and I've practiced and I've shown up in all these different ways. And now I have been robed.
Vested.
Yeah, vested. Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's something, yeah, please.
there's something that sparks from that for me around, the stories that I've heard of initiates um, in monasteries, Christian monasteries, the saying of the whole 9 yards, where you get 9 yards of cloth when you reach the top, and in olden times, the shorter amount of cloth would barely cover your butt, and in the winter in some places that was very uncomfortable. So, working
Mhm.
towards more and being able to be fully clothed, right?
Ah, yes. Fully covered. Interesting. Yeah, there's so much interesting stuff here, like, the sort of hierarchy of martial arts and how, it is very similar to spiritual traditions of, practice and you get sort of, yeah, each time you cross a threshold, you're honored with a new color and a new accessory to wear. Um, and then we've got this tiers of magic with the Dungeons and Dragons realm. Um, and that's always an interesting conversation for me, being an interfaith minister and being quite a witchy lady. And especially when I was an active chaplain, having to really like be a spy in the house of Christianity or, other more common faith traditions. and being able to be of service to people who are not of my faith when in my own practice, it was quite alternative and witchy and creative and didn't really fit into a box. Um, so there's an interesting sort of play here around, my path and what I'm doing in the world and all of the tiers and thresholds and gates I have to pass to get my vestment. And that there's a little bit of deception in there as well. There's a little bit of, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to jump through these hoops. And then this sort of, oh, but now I'm found out, right? Because, of course, a true spiritual leader's path, in my opinion, is a path of honesty and vulnerability. And that often means we don't fit in exactly to, the congregation's ideals or the religious dogma or whatever it might be, and kind of finding, as the dreamer, finding my way through all of that. And there's, a very dedicated part of me that goes all the way back to, the age of this little boy, because we are everything in the dream. Every part of the dream is us, including we're the robe, we're the white powder, we're everything. And so whenever a kid shows up, I always want to know how old the kid is. And there is often a reference point of like, oh, elementary school or like some time, or that was when I lived with my grandma or whatever. There's always this sort of interesting nugget that often pops up when I just ask about the age of the kid. It's always a little bit more than just the age, right? There's always like a little extra piece that's very valuable to know. So for me, the dream is offering me the history of this. It's showing me where this kind of understanding, exploration, commitment idea around going through the gates and to get to where I want to be started pretty young, and that it comes from a very masculine part of me, which again makes sense of like navigating the world, as female and being in these spiritual leadership positions. And that is this sort of, we got to sort of pull on some masculine parts of ourselves to get through these hoops, because these hoops overall, for the most part, were created by men. And so and that's why the juxtaposition of the man and the woman and the white powder is interesting to me too, because again, it's the stance between the anima and the animus, anima being the masculine side, again, quoting Carl Jung, and animus being the feminine side that we all have, regardless of your gender or how you identify. We all have that spectrum and those two parts of us. So those two are very interesting to me. And I'm super curious about the white powder. I mean, of course, there's the first assumption of what white powder is.
Yeah.
So, there's like the speediness in there, right? There's some, it's such a like 80s party drug, but then there's also like, the white powder of snow. And, there's lots of ways to think about white powder and what it could be. So many things, I'm thinking of like kabuki makeup, and, there's face powder that's super, super white, which is like the whole, Buto tradition and the mask wearing of that, which is all commentary on femininity in a masculine world. And there's like fascinating pieces about, articles about that, and how even way, way back in the ancient times of Japan, there were women doing very interesting feminist commentaries on the culture through Buto, that was so well cloaked and disguised that, the emperor didn't know what was going on.
How much can the emperor know, really?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so that's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, the powder, there's something illicit about it and exciting. And, I think of sugar or stevia, which is what I use in my life. Yeah, but always, this sort of, if I think about it in terms of sugar, then it is this sort of strong sweetness that um, is a distillation of maybe more, of energy in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, almost like an alchemical product. Hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of, yeah, similar to the party drug, it's like it can give like fast energy, but it can also like completely drain and
It
knock
brings a
knock you
crash.
out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there's something about it that is distilled or worked with. It's not necessarily completely natural.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Processed.
processed and has consequences of use in some way.
Mhm. Yeah, and then that leads to this need for rest in the magical realms and the magical power dynamics.
Yes, and in Dungeons and Dragons, if if there's been a battle or something and people need to heal, it's a one night of rest recuperates all of your health, your hit points, and
Oh yeah, totally.
your
Yeah.
ability to do magic again, right? So there is this
Right.
depletion that happens, and all you have to do is wait a night, which is a little bit unrealistic in real life, but it's fabulous in the game. I mean, I wish that were the case. One night and I'm good to
Totally.
go.
Yeah. It's like I'm close to death. Oh, I just need one night of sleep
That's
and
right,
some
and it's
food
going to
at the
handle that.
pub.
Plus, give me all my magic back. If only it were
Mhm.
so.
Yeah. Cool. Is there any other part of the dream that we didn't touch on that the dreamer would like us to?
Yeah, this feels pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah.
So, returning to this dream didn't have monsters per se, but the shadow and so forth. You have a class coming up.
Ew.
Yeah, and I have a question that's kind of related to that as well. Working with the shadow, I think, is so important in our time. And I remember quite a while ago you mentioning having read a book of dreams from people who had during Hitler's time, right? And in that,
Yes.
so I'm wondering what more you could say about both of these things.
Yeah, collective dreaming is really fascinating. And my colleague Kelly Bulkley has written many books about this. He's a wonderful researcher and kind of archivist of collective dreaming. And there, like, he has a book about 9/11, and I have a dream in that collection, where so many people had precognitive dreams about 9/11, and people had a lot of processing dreams afterwards that had very similar symbolism and feeling in them. And then, yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of that book now. It's like Dreaming in the Third Reich or something like that. It's such a great
Sounds
book.
like familiar, yeah.
Yeah. It's findable for sure on ye old internet. But yeah, in that book, it was really, really fascinating because it is watching a culture fall to fascism, really, and they are dreaming about it a lot. And everybody's kind of different yet similar perspective on this, kind of slow crawl into it, and, watching people lose their rights all around them, and, being terrified about what to do about it. So yeah, there's really, and then so many, particularly indigenous cultures, have a ancient tradition of collective dreaming, for the tribe, for the community. The Aboriginal dream time is truly its own thing, but that's very much people have dreams for each other. They have dreams for their village. And in the Iroquois tradition, even before there was vision quests, vision quests came out of collective dreaming for the community. So long before Vision Quest was even a thing, people would go out to sacred places and sleep there and dream there. And of course, there's Greek and Roman, ancient Greece and ancient Roman correlations because they have dream temples and Ephesus and the dream priestesses of Ios. So there are all sorts of connections all the way from the very, very beginning of the human being ness of it all, where dreams have been a very important role in culture as a way to discern what's going on with the community, what's going on with the world, what are choices that we should make as a collective, and of course, we've really lost track of that collectiveness. We are so individual, stemming from all that Protestantism, where it's very pull yourself by your bootstraps and do your own thing. But of course, we are all still a community and we are all still humans on this earth. And the more we can connect in our dream worlds and share our dreams with each other, the more crossover and interesting correlations we will experience. And I experienced that as leading dream workshops, working with people's dreams one-on-one. I see patterns and parallels all the time of people dreaming very, very similar things. So I always take note of that as, oh, this is for the dreamer, of course, because it's many, many layers. And, oh, there's a collective piece here as well. That's really interesting that I'm going to have a takeaway for myself. And if it is appropriate and is agreeable with the dreamer, we'll share with others, like, hey, this is a collective thing that I'm noticing, and I notice it a lot with eclipse season, like which we're in right now. People's dreams can get a little wild and a little, intense. And it's always like a really fun ride to hear the eclipse dreams of people.
I'm reminded of, as you were talking about the different times of and dreams and the different cultures, in church recently we've been reading Joseph's dreams from Genesis.
Yeah.
And in many ways those were collective dreams, right? This was a Pharaoh's dream that was interpreted, and of course, his own dream, which had elements, for him, but for his tribe, his family, and the community at large. Yeah. And then, of course, I
gets
also think
Joseph out of jail.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
he
and
was imprisoned, and the Pharaoh said, all right, I hear you're working the dreams of everyone in prison, and the guard says you're a really good dream worker. Come up here and work one of my dreams. And like totally just like, you got to save the grain. There's some dark times a coming. And he was right. And he got to be in charge of it. He got released. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, the seriousness with which the dream work was taken, right? And
Yes, yeah.
how life-saving that was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, I also think of, closer to our own time, Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream, right? It's a sort of a different kind of a dream, but it's certainly related, I think.
Yeah. And that was all improvised. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to remember if it was Etta James. It was somebody who said, tell him about the dream. And then that's when he went, I have a dream. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, share a little bit more about your class that's coming up. I think it'd
Yeah,
be great for people
yeah.
to know about.
Yeah, it's a 3-week online class that I'm teaching through Morbid Anatomy, which is a really awesome online, well, it's many things, but one of the things it is an online sort of institution, and amazing classes, amazing teachers, lots of esoteric knowledge and amazing art. And So I'm teaching a class about the nightmares as shadow work. So it is very specific kind of shadow work where, in general, the sort of shadow work practice is, working on the things, that you don't like about yourself or you push away. And they're often a little bit more generic, sort of ideas about ourselves, right? But when we work with a nightmare, like, who is my creature from the Black Lagoon? Like, who's that? Like, it's very specific and unique to who we are. Um, and over on my Substack, I have a video and a little audio podcast that shares another dream about meeting an ogre who tortures me, or yeah, in the original nightmare tortures me, and I end up facing him, and he ends up being a painter and like is all about the part of me that I pushed away because I felt that I wasn't a good enough painter to have new paint supplies. And so I just painted with whatever I scavenged from the thrift store or my mom or my friends didn't want anymore. And they'd be, oh, you want all this old paint? And I'd be like, yeah, I want your old paint. And in the nightmare, the ogre paints this beautiful mural with house paint that he scavenges. And my husband at the time, who has since passed away, he was the one who was like, well, we got to go get you brand new art supply, you know?
I love that.
So that's, yeah, that ogre is like was a perfect shadow monster for me. Terrifying monster, torturing people, like really scary. But again, I faced him. I saw the little paintbrush in his like bloody apron pocket. And that's what I honed in on. Like, this is my way out of this dungeon. I'm going to talk to this guy about art because I like art too. Um, so bringing my torturous ogre self back into my heart, and that allowed me to gift myself with better paints and more time in front of the canvas and all of those things. So that's what the class is about, essentially, is giving everyone tools to, when that next really scary character shows up in a nightmare, that they can then know, like, okay, this is a shadow part of myself. This is an opportunity. I can work with this scary monster and see what is the gift for me here. So yeah, I think end of September is when that class starts. And I don't think I have information on my Substack about it. So I will do that right after this
Yes,
interview.
please.
Put that up there. Because that should be up there. I'm still getting my feet wet in the land of Substack.
Oh yeah,
So
me too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, but
Mhm.
that would be wonderful to have that information there so folks can participate in that.
Yeah.
Um, and
And then in January, I'm doing my 11-week dream circle, which you have done. And it's a really fun way to really go in deep with other people and really have a beautiful container and vessel going, if you're in the northern hemisphere, like going from, deep winter into spring. And it's a really lovely way to kind of hunker down in our dream time
yeah,
and be really supportive of each other and just, once a week being in that beautiful space with each other. So that's a really fun thing that's coming up as it's coming up. It feels weird to say January 2027 is
it
coming
comes
up,
up
but it
really
is
fast.
coming up.
It comes up really fast. Similarly, I have a dream circle starting up for September for
Yeah.
8 sessions, so folks can look that up. I'm also going to have information on Substack, figure out how to make that more easy to find.
And
So
you also use the projective
that's
method,
right.
which is
That's
great.
right. So,
Yeah.
so what we did here, and the things that we've been talking about are going to be some of the kinds of work that we would do. And my dream circle is patterned after what you did,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
found that so amazing. It's just an amazing process. I recommend it. Highly recommend it.
So lots of opportunities to do dream work.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if it's okay with you, we can draw it to a close here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing and for all of your work and your ministry.
Mm.
and for the opportunities that you continue to offer to all of us. And I look forward to continuing and following you on Substack and seeing what all the offerings are that will be forthcoming. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast.
Yes, this was fun. This was so much fun.
Yeah, 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 very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.